Hello and welcome back. So today we are going to discuss model view controller in XML and Kotlin. So what actually is a model view controller? We are going to discuss this framework for Android native apps in Kotlin and XML. So we are going to master the foundation architecture pattern that powers thousands of Android applications. We are also going to learn how to structure your Kotlin and XML based apps using the model view controller framework for clean, maintainable, and scalable code. So, once again, uh, this lecture is particularly about model view controller MVC framework or MVC architecture because lots of apps are dependent on or they follow the model view controller framework. So we are going to master the foundation architecture pattern that powers thousands of Android applications. We are also going to learn how to structure the Kotlin and XML based app using the model view controller framework for clean, maintainable and scalable code. Okay, so let's move on. So what is MVC architecture? The model view controller the model view controller architecture is a time tested architecture. Uh, the model view controller architecture is time tested design pattern that separates your application into three interconnected components. So actually your entire application is separated into three components. The first component is a model, each with separate responsibilities. The first component is model, the second is view, and the third is controller. This separation of concern is fundamental to building applications that are easier to understand, test, maintain, and scale as they grow in complexity. So, we are going to separate the three intercomponent. We are going to separate the app into three interconnected component, that is the model, the view, and the controller. So what is a model? Model manages data and business logic. It handles validation, calculations, and communication with data sources without awareness of UI presentation. Again, model manages data and business logic. It handles validation, calculation, and communication with data sources without awareness of UI components. What is a view? It displays UI elements defined in XML. So what is a view? It displays UI elements defined in XML layout files. It renders data from the model and present it to the user in visually appealing manner. And the controller is the middleman. It handles user input and orchestrate communication between view and model. It orchestrates communication like it is a bridge between view and a model. It is implemented as activity or fragments. It processes event and trigger updates. So MVC actually enables modularity, maintainability, and testability by enforcing clean boundaries between presentation logic, business logic, and data management logic. Again, MVC enables modularity, maintainability, and testability by enforcing clean boundaries. So there is a clean boundary between presentation logic, business logic, and data management logic. This architecture discipline prevents code from becoming tangled and difficult to navigate or difficult to understand. MVC components in the Android context. So in the Android context, similarly we have model, view, and controller layers. So Kotlin classes form the backbone of your model layer. So these classes manage application data and implements business logic independently of Android framework dependencies. These classes handle data validation, network request, database operation, complex calculation. So all the operations that you perform on database are done at the model layer. By keeping model free from Android specific code, again, by keeping model free from Android specific code, you ensure they can be unit tested in isolation without requiring the Android runtime. Example include data classes for entities like users, products, or account, along with managers or repositories to handle data operation. And then in the context of Android, we have view and controller layers. XML layout file define your view layer, specifying the structure and appearance of UI elements like button, text field, list. Activities and frameworks serve as controller, listening to user interaction, delegating business logic to model classes, and updating the view based on model stage changes. This arrangement keeps UI logic focused and presentation while delegating complex operation to the model. So again, what is the view? XML layout file defines your view layer, specifying the structure and appearance of UI elements such as buttons, text field, and list. On the other hand, activities and frameworks serve as controller, listening to user interaction, delegating business logic to model classes, and updating view based on model state changes. This arrangement keeps UI logic focused on presentation while delegating complex operation to the model. So the strength of Android model view controller implementation lies in its ability to keep business logic completely separated from the Android framework, making your code more reusable and testable. So how MVC works in Android apps? So we have user interaction, controller processing, model updates, and view refresh. In user interaction, the user interacts with the view elements such as clicking a button, entering text, selecting the item from the list, triggering any other UI action that the view presents. And then we have controller processing. The controller receives the user input events and determine what action needs to occur. Again, the controller receives the user input event and determine what action needs to occur. It extracts necessary data from the view and passes it to the appropriate model methods. Model updates. The model processes the data according to business logic, validating input, performing calculation, and updating internal state and communicating with external services like API and databases. And then we have view refreshes. The controller receives notification of the model changes and updates the view to reflect the new state. Again, the controller receives notification of the model changes and updates the view to reflect the new state. The user sees immediate visual feedback, confirming their action was processed. So this unidirectional flow keeps UI and logic loosely coupled, meaning changes to business logic don't require modifying view code, or view updates don't affect the core logic. So here is an example of simple button click counter app. So we have a counter model class. It has a variable called click count and it has a function of increment which will return integer, and then it also has a function of get count. A Kotlin data class holds click count for each button. The model contains methods to increment the counter and retrieve current values. It knows nothing about buttons, screens, or UI frameworks, purely focus on managing counter state. And then we have view and controller. The XML layout defines the three button and the text views. The main activity acts as a controller, listening to the click event on each button, calling the model increment method and updating the text view with the new count. This separation allows the model to be tested without any UI framework. So the key benefit, you can test all counter logic by directly calling model methods, completely bypassing Android framework dependencies and making test fast and reliable. So here we have MVC project structure in Kotlin and XML. We organize the project into clear package structure, ensuring that MVC principle translate into actual code organization. This structure make it immediately obvious where each components belong and simplify navigation of developers working with your code base. So we have a model package, then we have a view package, and then we have a controller package. So the model package actually contain Kotlin data classes, business logic classes, and interfaces. For example, user.kt, user repository, user.kt interface defining model contracts. And then we have view packages, which contain XML layout files and potentially view interfaces contrast, such as activity underscore main, activity underscore login dot xml, and ilogin view dot kt interfaces lives here. And then we have a controller package which contains classes such as main activity dot kt, login controller dot kt, etc. So this is the MVC structure in Kotlin and XML. So there are some pros and cons of MVC in Android. The advantages is that it is simple and intuitive. We have a clear separation, a rapid prototyping that is quick to implement for small and medium sized application where complexity remain manageable and architecture overhead is minimal. Familiar pattern, MVC is well established across many frameworks, so knowledge transfer easily between the web and so there is an easy knowledge transfer between the web and mobile development. Disadvantages is that we have massive activity problems, tight view controller coupling, scalability challenges, and testing limitations. MVC with Kotlin and XML in 2025. So while newer technologies like Jetpack Compose have emerged as a modern declarative UI toolkit, XML-based layout remain deeply relevant and widely used throughout the Android ecosystem in 2025. Understanding why helps you make informed architecture decision for your project. XML persistence. Millions of existing Android apps built on XML continue thriving in production. Legacy support and vast amount of code ensure XML continued relevance. Hybrid adaptation. Many modern projects blend XML layout with component based with composed components, gradually migrating as team gain experience with declarative UI approach. Development tools. Android Studio provide robust XML support with powerful layout editors, enabling rapid visual UI design and prototyping with manual XML writing. Kotlin and XML strength. Kotlin combines with XML layout remains perfectly suitable for straightforward UI needs, prototyping and apps prioritizing stability, our cutting edge technology. So XML plus Kotlin plus MVC provides a solid, proven foundation for Android development. Compose present a future, but XML expertise remains highly valuable in professional environment. Best practices for MVC in Android with Kotlin includes keep model Android dependent, minimize activity logic, implement observable observation pattern, establish clear package structure and plan of evolution. So then we have a summary. MVC is a foundation architecture pattern ideal for Android beginners and application for of small and medium complexity. Kotlin and XML provide robust, familiar, and proven environment for implementing MVC in Android apps. We have a clear separation of concern, model, view, and controller enables independent testing, easier maintenance, and more confident refactoring. Understanding MVC built essential mental model for advancing to sophisticated pattern like MVVM and MVM. Next, we are going to build some Android apps. For that, let me go to Android Studio, which is our old friend. Let me go to File, New, and New Project. And based on MVC, we are going to build some projects, build some apps. So I'm going to select empty view activity, click Next. And here, I'm going to say student basic info. So this is student basic info app. So click finish. So Android Studio will create a project for us. So we can wait for some time while Android Studio is creating this project for us. So first we are going to once again design our app, and then once the design is complete, we are going to add functionality to this app. So this is basic student information. It is going to contain student name and age when we click on the button, but it will follow MVC, model view controller architecture. So that is that is why we are following this, we are doing this project. So we can wait for some time to finish Android Studio creating this project for us. So once again, you can see here Gradle project building. So Gradle is file management build tool, which is there to manage file, build our app, convert it into APK. Okay, so the project has been created. So let me straight away go to layout, and here in the layout we are going to use once again a linear layout, and let me specify some properties. The gravity is center, orientation is vertical. Okay, so this is a linear layout, and then we have, let me select all of this text view and remove it, because we are going to add our own text view with the width of wrap content and height of also wrap content. And let me also give it an ID. The ID will be text view student name. The text will be no student yet, and let me define the text size 20 sp. Layout, margin bottom 20 dp. Okay, so overall this is our text view. And then let me also define a button. Having width and height of wrap content, an ID of button show student. So this will be the ID, and the text will be show student. All right, so once again a text view and a button. So we define our layout. Let me show this layout to you. See, it's a view in the context of model view controller. You can see here we have a button and a text view. So this part is called a view. So we have defined a view, and now let us define our model class. Okay, so go to Kotlin, right click, new, and I'm going to say Kotlin class. So this will be data class. So select the data class, and here I'm going to give it a name of student. So once again you can see it's a data class. So it will contain name, having data type of string, and age of type integer. So you can see we have a student and name and age. So this is our model class. So we have a view, we have a model. Let's go to now controller. So this is main activity is actually the controller class. So first of all we are going to get, let me comment out, we are going to get the view references, and then private late initialize text view student name text view, and then private late initialize button show student. So we have a text view and a button. Let me import this button class as well. Okay, so now that we have references, so I can here create data using data model class. So remember, the data model class is student, so I can here say private val student. Let me create an object of a student class. So the data class is student, so I'm going to give it a name of Ali 20. So that will be our one data object class. All right, so after that we are going to make sure that I am inside on create method. We are going to connect data to the view. So we have text view student name find view by ID. So it is a text view. So as you know, r.id.text view student name. So we are connecting data to the view. And then button show student find view by ID button, and here I am going to say r.id.button show student. So let me now put the controller logic here, which is going to handle button click. So it is like button show student dot set on click listener, button show student set on click listener. So then we are going to say update the view using data from the model. So we are going to say text view student name dot text. So here I'm going to say the text view will have name %sign student dot name age. So age will be student.age, student.age. All right. So this will be a new text on the text view when you click on the button. All right, so let me run this app or this project. So we implemented a model view controller. So what is a view? View is your layout file. View is your layout file. What is the model? Model is student class and controller is main.activity. So Gradle build is running. So this is our previous app, which is a BMI calculator. But we are not going to discuss this app because today we are discussing model view controller. So once again, the view class is activity underscore main. The model class is student, and the main activity class contains the logic for the controller. So I hope that waiting all target devices to come online. So it is already online. I hope there will be no problem. So let us revise what we have done so far. Today we discuss model view controller, and we said that this is a framework or a popular architecture. It contains model, view and controller. Model manages data and business logic. View is actually your interface, and controller handle user inputs, and it is a middleman between view and a model. So, and then we also implemented one of a model view controller project over here. So it is online, and still it says waiting for all devices to come online. I don't know what is wrong with it. It is taking too much time. Meanwhile, I'm going to upload this project on the GitHub as well. So I'm going to deselect private, share, add, and then it has successfully. So here is the link. So I'm going to copy this link and go to your Google group. So it is MVC student basic info. So I'm going to paste it over here. MVC student basic info, post. So successfully posted. Let us return to Android Studio, where we can see that it is still not, like, we are waiting for these devices to come online. One of that devices is online. So what I'm going to do is to yeah the I am going to terminate. I have terminated the emulator. So I'm going to run this simulator once again, because we have to ultimately run it, and run the app once again. This time installed successfully. So let us see what happens when we click on show student. So you can see the information, name Ali and age appears over here. So this is what uh, the controller logic is. So with that, I'm going to stop here and I'll see you in the next class.